authoring process. And he has recast this book around Craig's scheme too. So that's all right. I didn't think it was. So in any case, here is an incredibly useful chart for you, right on the cover of Little John. And this is basically our reading schedule. We are going to read Little John according to Craig's scheme. Okay, so we're not reading Little John according to Little John's scheme. So you're going to be reading different parts of Little John so that we stay within a tradition as we go through it. So we're going to read all of what Little John has about semiotics on the same day. And we're going to read all what he has to say about rhetoric on the same day. We're going to read all what he is socio-psychological on the same day. So Little John wants to divide it. He finds this scheme more useful to talk about the communicator, the message, the messages, the conversations, the relationships. My experience in teaching this book for a couple of years is that students find that totally fragmented. Because he'll tell you, okay, communicators, there's 7 different ways we can look at communicators, you know, and they're shifting between traditions and they just can't put it together. So I'm going to shift it. We'll read according to this. And I've broken that out on your syllabus. There's also in Little John a diagram, chapter 3.3. Little John is good sometimes about diagrams. And let me find this for you. I'm sorry, I should have written page. Here it is. On page 52 of Little John's book. This diagram explains the whole book. So I'm going to commend this diagram to you, and we're going to use it, you know, at various times to keep everything straight, because it puts in one visual image everything that's in this book. So that's a key to Little John, is to keep at that keep it at this, and it'll do you well. Here's another clue about reading Little John. Little John will say, Searle has identified 5 key dimensions to speech acts. And immediately you should recognize that he is going to now go through all 5 of them. He's very predictable. Okay, so anytime, what I have to do when I read Little John is every time he says a number, I circle it, and then I point to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, because he's just, anytime he gives you a number, that becomes for you the way to understand it. Because you're going to think, all these things. Well, he'll tell you how many they're going to be. So pay attention to him when he says 5 or 4 or 3 or 6, or whatever he says. That'll help you to read him. I'm interested in your comments about the difference between Craig and Little John. So feed me those comments. I personally find Craig much easier to read than Little John, but I'd be interested to know if others have a different reaction to the book. All right, so those are the books. Are they in? Does anybody know if they're in?
I got them.
You got them? Okay.
If we know somebody with a 7th edition of one of those, they'll get the 9th edition?
Yes. It's really revised, and okay. Karen Foss has made a big difference in it, so sorry.
No.
Yeah. I actually talked to Little John about a year ago. I got put on a national committee for moral debate, and so I called him up. I said, hey, I just got appointed to a national committee on moral debate, you know. Can I talk to you from time to time? He's a very nice guy, you know. He's like, he'll talk to you about it, and he'll suggest things and theories to look at. But he works closely with Barnett Pierce, who is coordinated management of meaning. It will go across these theories. Barnett, Pearce, and Littlejohn together have a consulting firm that goes around the country trying to teach new ways of deliberating and talking about public issues. So it's called the Public Dialogue Consortium or something like that. I'll have to look it up. It's mentioned in the book. But they're very interested in changing what happens in communities so that communities function in a more humane way. So they're very practical people, but his book's a little tough sometimes. All right, so that's the textbooks. We'll go over the assignments. New thing this year for us is a service learning project. They're called the Reality Consulting Project. So what this is part of what we want you to be able to do is to take theories and apply them to a real world situation. So we're going to ask you to make a connection with some business, some government organization, some nonprofit, something or other, where you will be able to create a sort of consultant's presentation for them. So you'll go to them and you'll say, hi, I'm in a graduate program of theories of communication. I have a letter on the back of this thing for you. You know, and we have to do this project where we bring our learning from the class to bear on a communication issue that you're facing in your field or your organization or your business or your community. So we'd like to negotiate that with you, and then we will prepare a presentation, 15, 20 minutes, whatever, or a workshop or whatever they want, that we will actually do in your organization to the managers or the workers or whoever you want us to do it for. And then we'd like you to give us feedback on it. And then we'll take that and you'll do that presentation here and we'll get the feedback here, so we'll learn together about that. So that'll be something you'll want to start to think about early on here. And we'll have to decide how we want to break this up into work groups or individual groups. You know, if you have a real specialized thing you want to do, I'm not sure how we'll do it yet. So we'll think about that. But that'll be a project, that'll be 20 points of your thing. We're going to do weekly journals. Those of you who had me before, this is like no big news. Every week you're going to send me an email. And in that email you're going to reflect on some communication event that you've encountered and the way the theories we're reading explain that or work with that. So for instance, if this were the event, you know, where manager and worker are having a top-down correction incident event, you would take theory that talks about this language. It has these terms. Every theory has language to it, you know, and you would apply that language to this event. So you would describe the event, you know, on such and such a day, manager went over this with the worker, the manager is male, the worker is whatever, you know, and just describe the situation, explain what went on. You know, this was unsuccessful, the worker quit, or the worker sabotaged the kitchen afterwards, you know, whatever, and you explain it, and then you relate it to the theory. So, standpoint theory tells us that this is such and so in cultures or this, and so you do analysis of it. So one a week. Just one a week.
In it says, explain the dynamics and offer insights for transformation. If something's done well, can we apply it to the theory?
Yeah, you can show how the theory explains why it went well. Yeah. Weekly, which in communication will be explored in light of communication. Describe, identify dynamics of interest. Yeah. So that doesn't have to be real long, but it needs to be perceptive and insightful. And I'll probably send you back a number, a 3, a 2, or a 1. And a 3 means, wow, really good job, nice. 2 means, okay, you did it, and it's okay. 1 means you got to ramp up. You got to do a little bit more here.
When does the weekend? Is it on Friday? Or?
You know, I would like it, I don't know. Grads, I cut more slack than I do undergrads. It's better for me to get it by Saturday night. I told the undergrads Friday night, but you know, for grad, you guys work, a lot of you work, so you're going to want to do stuff on Saturday, I suppose. So yeah, so by Saturday night or Sunday morning, whatever. I'll generally get to these about 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon is when I'll get to them. So as long as it's in my inbox by then, that'd be good. Then I can prep, you know, then I can respond to them and prep. You'll get a feel for that as we go along. But I'm really looking for insight, you know, I'm looking for perceptive. I don't need bulk, you know. I get plenty of bulk from undergrads, you know. Just like, you know, just cut to it, show me you understand it, make the connection, use the language. Use the language. Speak communication studies. So we'll do that. You will do some articles. Now, because we are reading Craig, we are not doing so many journal articles here, because you're doing a lot of primary readings in Craig. So I'm asking you only for 2 articles, which is like way, way low. But I want you to read them. They should relate to some interest that you have. And then you'll do some kind of report here. Short, not long report. Just tell us, answer some questions about what it is. Maybe give a handout, but it doesn't need to be PowerPoints and fancy things. Just tell us what it's about. And you'll do 2 of those. One of those will be October 2nd, so you got to get on that right, you know, fairly soon. And the other one will be when that tradition is discussed in class. And we may be a little sloppy on that, depending on how long it takes you to get ramped up. But that's our goal.
So the first article can be on anything?
Yeah, anything.
And the second one has to be on a specific tradition?
Well, no, the first one can be on anything, but it needs to demonstrate theory being applied. That's the trick. It needs to be a theoretic, needs to show some theory in action.
I'm a little confused. Like, if we look through the book and it gives us the 7 theories, that would be like our first reading. So would we just like pick one of the theories and that would be our search term? Like, start narrowing it down, or how would we like go about?
What I would suggest to you to do is to find something of interest to you, like, for instance, managerial communication, right? Managerial communication. You search for articles. And then you start to look at the abstracts. And sooner or later, some abstract will say, this article applies, you know, Searle's theory of speech acts to managerial communication. It'll say what the theoretical base is. So that would probably be a good article then for this class. You know, look at the abstracts. And then you will create an individual paper for this class, and that'll be based, that can be on those 2 journal articles too, so you can build on those things. Not a long paper. I think I said 6 pages of body, so that's not long. I don't want long. I want insightful, clear reflection. You can also, if you were so inclined, do this as a hypertext Wikipedia kind of entry, with hyperlinks and, you know, posted. So actually Wikipedia invites and encourages students, graduate students, to write as part, encourages professors to have students write Wikipedia articles for their projects. So that's one way they get better stuff. So, but if you want to try to do that, that'd be fine. It might not get posted, but we'll at least have it. APA references. Those of you who are new to the program need to understand that our bibliographic and form is the APA. We're not MLA, we are APA. And you should have at least 2 journal articles and 2 primary sources. the primary sources might come out of Craig too. So, all right, and then what else did I say? Final exam question. You will each have a different final exam question. That is, we'll negotiate it. So we will go back and forth on email a couple times, depending on what you have focused on in the course. Your final exam question will reflect that. And you'll write it ahead of time. And then we'll come to the final exam period and we'll each report out, or I'll examine you on that question for a few minutes. So it's like a mini defense. That's what we'll do for a final. And then classroom participation is, you know, are you present when you're present? You know, and did you prep? Can I see that you know what's going on? You're engaged with the process. That's my points. In general, the easiest way to think about my classes and grading is that if you really do a good job and I see you're really working hard and doing stuff, you'll end up with an A. If you're kind of doing the average stuff and you know it's okay, it's not extraordinary, you'll end up somewhere in the B's. And if you're missing assignments and your stuff, you're gone on C's and down. So I think that's pretty common. But my general distribution is I have a class of 28 people. I'd have 6 or 7 A things. I'd have a bunch of B pluses and B's, and I'd have 6 or 7 down here. That's the way it usually runs for me. I have no problem with giving everybody an A if everyone does A work. So, but that's up to you. And up to your jobs and your families and your kids. Whatever else you've got going in your life as graduate students. So, so that's the grading. Any thoughts or questions?
The presentations that we do, do you want a hard copy of something for yourself as well that we would?
You mean the consultant things?
Yes.
Yeah, the consultant things, you're going to actually do the thing. So that's going to have PowerPoint and all that stuff, handouts, whatever that you created. Let's make sure we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, actually, no, you're right. I had it mixed up.
Okay,
yeah.
The final is just, and then when you give your report about an article, it's just maybe a one-page summary of it. Yeah, one-page summary for us. But the presentation thing is a bigger thing, you know, with a whole, whatever handouts you gave to the people and your text and the PowerPoint or the Keynote. What's the Mac one is Keynote? Yeah, Keynote program or whatever you use for that. All right. So any more questions, thoughts? You can email me stuff and, you know, I'll answer it to you. Why don't, you know, I'm kind of a little tired of talking. Why don't I ask you questions for a while, and then we'll come back and we'll go over the thing, and then we'll take a break. Okay? So let me see who all I got here. And Deborah Doyle. Now, where's Deborah? Okay. Deborah, what do you do, and why are you here?
I work at a publishing company, Pearson Publishing, for Plants Hall, and I work at editorial there for developmental English and literature.
Okay.
And I am here because I want to get into PR. I'm kind of tired of the editorial scene. I've been doing it for a while. I like the marketing, sales, more working with people rather than sitting behind a desk all day. So.
Okay. And what do you imagine you'll be doing in PR when you think about PR?
I don't know if I'm going to stick with publishing. It's kind of what I'm starting out with. I'm still getting my feet wet. So I might go to a PR firm. I might do PR for a bigger company.
So you want to be face to face with people?
Yeah.
You don't want to be sitting in the back writing press releases?
No. It's not my...
You're going to be a spokesperson?
Goal. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. All right, that's good to know. All right, Anna is here. So what do you do and why are you here?
Well, I'm in my first semester of the program, and I'm probably going to graduate in May. And I work for an online entertainment company, and I do marketing and PR. And
okay, so you're already in marketing and PR.
but I want to ultimately do either like entertainment PR or entertainment reporter, editor and reporter.
Okay, so it would be a lot of writing.
Yeah, which I like.
You like to write?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. See, part of this is that we can make connections about professional interests while we're here too. So that's good. All right. Joseph. Joseph.
Well, basically, this is my first semester in PR. Well, a master's program. Anyway, I'm just basically here because coming out of college, I did not know what I wanted to do. Then I looked at all my options, figured that PR was the way I want to be towards the end, more probably in sports or entertainment, something along those lines, anything with media, because
like
it's
media.
something that's more fast-paced and less desk-oriented than most of the jobs that I know of, and that's why I'm here.
Okay, so you kind of want to be with people and doing the
I
thing.
have the right to get to people, for sure.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
All right. All right. Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
This is my first semester in the graduate program. I'm not really sure what I want to do when I get out. I was an advertising major, and really don't. So I decided I would kind of do some of the PR because I see that they're like kind of merging and kind of see which I like better, you know. And I don't know what I want to do.
Okay. So sort of advertising, sort of PR. Where was your undergraduate work?
University of Hartford.
University of Hartford. I forgot to ask that. I wanted to check. So University of Hartford.
Penn State University.
Penn State and you're Montclair. Ramapo. All right. All right. Just trying to get a feel for where we're going. Okay. Laura. Okay.
This is also my first semester in the program.
Right.
I went to undergrad here at Montclair, but I was an English major. And then I picked up communications as a minor at the end of my junior year. So it's still communications weren't very new to me. I only have like a few basic classes that are in the minor. I don't really know where I want to go when I get out. I'm in event sales right now for a restaurant. But I want to eventually hopefully do some, I wanted to do the program that's really coming in next year, the mixing of PR and or comm.
Okay.
So I want to kind of do a little bit of both.
Good. All right.
We'll see where it takes me.
Good. Well, we got plenty of theories that you can gather in and prep yourself with that. You know, that'd be good. Okay. Andrew.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You can call me Drew.
Drew. All right. Okay.
I'm a psychology undergrad, so that's where my background is.
From here?
No, sir, from Rowan.
Rowan. All right.
And I realized that I didn't really want to pursue psychology, so I'm going to be pursuing public relations and more toward the writing aspect.
Okay.
The face-to-face.
So right in any particular field?
Well, ideally, I would love to somehow work with Major League Baseball.
Okay. So kind of a sports connection to baseball. Okay. All right. And Melissa is here. I know who you are, but tell me who you are.
I work for a medical journal. I'm an editor. And this is my 5th semester, and hopefully my last year. In the spring I'll hopefully be graduating. And or comm.
Yep. Yeah. And how is the major going to change what you do?
Well, I'm in a management role now, so, and I continue to stick with that line of, you know, work in terms of where I am in the organization, and so far, and I hope to continue it, you know, it will help me to be a better manager and better communicate with employees, and so that's what a lot of my study has been so far in the program, and motivation and things like that.
Good, right. Yeah, so we've been together for probably 3 or 4 of those semesters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've had a class with you every semester.
Every semester.
I've been here.
Right.
You'll be writing all of my questions.
Oh, your
for
comm
all.
questions. See, we used to have, I don't know if the grad program is still doing this, we used to have an 8 to 11 cycle too, and we were doing statistical analysis at 11 at night. And that was crazy.
That was my first semester.
Was that your first semester? That was nuts. Yeah, so. All right, and then Julia is not here. Julia Switzer. Joseph.
That's, yeah, actually, it's Joseph Jeffrey. Just call me Jeff.
Jeff, all right.
Yeah, Jeff Shields. And I actually graduated from San Francisco State, and I studied theater and did it professionally. Still do a couple of shows a year, and my story's a little longer than some of the people's in here. I'll try and get to the chase, though. I lived in France for some years, and I taught ESL, English as a second language. While I was doing that, you know, a lot of corporate work, and what kept coming up was desperate executives that had to go and give speeches in Dallas, and didn't want to sound like completely clueless. And I got really, really interested in that, and I found kind of a niche there, which I'm still trying to figure out how to exploit more effectively, because I get a kick out of it, but it's not something that they want known particularly, that they're getting help from some guy, and they're executives, and like so. Currently, I work at Brookdale Community College. I work in the speech department. My full-time gig there is really working one-on-one with students in the beginning public speaking program, and I'm also lucky enough to teach a couple of adjunct sections of it, mostly because I worked, I'm part of the department at this point.
Good, nice.
Yeah. So I would like, the reason I'm going for the degree is twofold. One, hopefully to get a full-time post at Brookdale, which I really like a lot, and also to find some way to get a corporate angle.
Yeah, you should talk to Maureen McGuire. Have you met Maureen here yet? She's done a lot of corporate consulting.
Oh, really?
Yes. So you should need to meet Dr. Maureen McGuire. Okay. Good. All right, and then Ben.
Yeah, I had a undergraduate from Delaware in education, which I liked a lot, but I'm also trying to move into the PR and sports.
Okay.
And kind of anything with the public eye. That kind of gets my interest going. So I thought that this could kind of move me in that direction.
Okay. Well, I think I formed one group here. At least I got one group. I got my publishing group and my sports group. So we put that all together. All right. And yeah, last year was crazy. I had 28 kids, and about 27 of them were PR people in their first semester. And it was like crazy. So this will work good. Yeah. All right, let's go over this syllabus calendar, and then we'll break. All right, so what's going to happen is today I'm just going to do orientation stuff, try to bring us all up to speed. Those of you who've had me for intro have heard some of this before, but you'll live through it. And then for next week, you're going to read Little John 3 and Craig 5. So I'm not going in the particular order. We're getting into the tradition thing first. We're going to immerse you in the 7 traditions, so you have that framework for working everything else. So we'll talk about meta theory, which is theory about theory, traditions of theory. That'll be next week. Little John 1 and 2 will come next, which is more about what is theory and understanding how theories fit in within the field of communication studies, how they fit into research interests, and what academics do with theories. So we'll review the traditions again and talk about Little John chapter 1 and 2. And on the second, we're going to get into your articles and do some work harder on our practical questions. What are the questions that are driving our interest in communication theory? So this again will be the 7 traditions around problems. You know, which traditions which could address which problems that we're interested in. Questions about. So you get a break on your reading there. So if you want to read ahead a little bit, you know, it wouldn't hurt anything. So then we hit our rhetorical week, which has to do with persuasion, public deliberation, Aristotle. We'll read Gorgias. We'll read some of the rhetoric. And Anna's my resident Greek specialist, so she'll clue us all in on that tradition, right? And then we have semiotics the next week.